for a very special episode of Mike and Dave's Hi-Fi Riff. I'm Mike Evans.
I'm supposed to do that. Okay, I'll do it. I'm David Price.
Thank you very much.
Mike, don't talk when I'm drinking.
We've rehearsed this a lot, you can tell. Thank you. I mean, late on in the day, we said it was a little bit like being at school, didn't we? The last sort of period of the day, and really,
yeah, when you don't want to do any work, basically.
Yeah, you come and watch us. No, quite. So look, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Massively appreciated. And in return, we'll try and make it a good use of your time. So, just as a way of an introduction, David and I have been pals for
too long.
Fair, but yeah. So we went to school together. Met when we were in sort of first year in secondary school. So we were 11 years old. So it must be all of 20 years now, I suppose. And it's been an amazing journey because we were the only two sad kids who were into hi-fi when we were 11 years old. And we used to read sort of hi-fi magazines, then bring them into school, and bore the crap out of everybody basically. Which I think we're all a little bit in tune with if we're at this show. So
It's like a kind of sort of Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, but for hi-fi really.
Age 11, yes, quite. Yeah. And then sort of we've always been into it. Most of the time we've sort of been dreaming and looking at amazing systems which other people have and fantastic reviews of high-end stuff and thinking about this is something we aspire to. We actually now buy all of that old stuff because it's cheaper on eBay. It's funny how the world goes round, isn't it? But we got into it then. I kind of moved into hi-fi retail for a few years. And David obviously went into journalism. And you'll know David from, well, go for it.
Well, Hi-Fi World, and I edited Hi-Fi World for all. Any old Hi-Fi World readers here?
Yeah.
Wow.
There we are, look at that.
Solidarity, brothers. So, very, very sad.
Why did David know he would retire?
So, Hi-Fi World finished, I think, 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. I think it was one of the many victims of the lockdown and so on. Print magazines had a terrible time of it. So at the moment, Noel is, I think, resting.
He's in his basement.
Yes, he's in his basement, playing with his Garrel 401, and playing, sort of getting excited about KT88s as he did. So Noel's not publishing anything at the moment, but Hi-Fi World might, you never know, it could come back online, who knows?
Paul Messenger still around?
Paul Messenger, as far as I know, Paul's not very well at the moment. He hasn't written anything for a while. I wish him the best. But he's a lovely guy and a great writer, I thought.
We've seen that his shows many times in the
Yeah. He's hard to miss, isn't he, Paul?
Yeah.
He's the tallest man at any hi-fi show.
But you moved on to Pastures Greener and doing something really quite interesting now.
So I edited Hi-Fi Choice after that, then I freelanced for news for 5 or 6 years, and then now I'm editor-in-chief of StereoNet. Does anyone know StereoNet here?
Yeah.
Well done, fantastic. So
Jay Garrett.
Jay, did you have your hand up? I'm the kind of global editor-in-chief. Jay is our UK editor, so there you go. So good for you. Say hello, Jay.
Hi. Is it true, the rumours?
What, that Jay used to be the bass player for Status Quo? No, I don't think that's true at all. So, and it was a bad joke anyway.
A bit disappointed with the used to be honest. Should still be there.
So, I like Status Quo, but I can't really say that.
No,
on
excellent.
video, because we're okay, got 60 people here or something.
No, you've just put a Rod Stewart album on. So sort of moving on from there,
Yeah.
we about, 18 months ago now, we thought, let's do a YouTube channel. That seems to be a cool and trendy thing to do. And we sort of thought about what we could do and how we could do it. We've seen some of the amazing production values of people like John Darko and all these people who do fantastic jobs. And we thought, well,
Let's
we won't
not
do
do
that.
that.
So we do totally the opposite. So and we thought what we would do is we do a YouTube channel which we would enjoy. And if anyone else liked it, well, that was fantastic. And my gosh, can't believe there's more than 2 of us in the room, to be honest.
Yes, you sure they're not your extended family?
We paid them loads of money.
There was even a small queue.
My God.
Justin's obviously been bribing people here, I think. So
That's-
You're right, Dad.
Justin Bird
So-
has put the whole show on.
That's a great quote. So there was even a small queue. So
Yes.
that's someone write that down.
Yeah, somebody videoed it.
So yeah.
But no, Justin's put the show on, and thank you for inviting us. And this has sort of been the sort of icing on the cake of the last 18 months, really, because it really has been an incredible journey. Our first video we put out, I think we had about 3 views the first week, and 2 of those were you and I.
Yeah, and it looked like a hostage video as well.
It did a bit.
I don't know if you remember when that RIF guy got sort of caught by Saddam Hussein in the Gulf War. And he had to kind of go on and say, I hate the West and all that stuff. It's like, you know, that reminds me of that video.
And all the sound came out of the left-hand channel because we couldn't work out how to make stereo work. It really didn't go very well. So, you know, hence we didn't want to go for the John Dyer.
It was that kind of pre-1958 period, wasn't it, or something?
It was. And then we actually did a review of a musical Fidelity A1, which David had sort of in the Hi-Fi attic, the sort of Hi-Fi museum in his house, and we sort of pulled it out. And it started to gather some momentum, and we were quite surprised as to how many people said they liked whether they did or not, we don't know, but they said they liked the review of the A1, which we just thought was fantastic. So we started doing some...
Slag them off, like.
Well, I did until we got lots of views on our YouTube channel. And then we sort of started doing some retro riffs, and then we started to have people like Jez Kerr at the back there come and guest star. Jez from Kerr Acoustics, haven't been in your room yet this year, Jez, but you had a pretty good sounding room last year, I seem to remember. So, excellent. We had a good day with Jez. Jez paid for the beers.
Well, you know, he used to be the lead singer of Simple Minds, so he's probably...
Excellent. And we won't do any more rock star jokes, guys, I promise you. It's just ironic that you're both sitting behind each other. So there we are. And so that's sort of how it all started. And we were really thrilled to see people following us, getting our videos. For those of you who know how this YouTube algorithm works, once you get past 1,000 subscribers, you get monetized. So we are raking it in now. I mean,
how much are we rated now?
I think
I haven't even checked.
We got a payment from Google for 20 quid, which was just fantastic. Which is paid for beer. It's sort of like one of the days.
I thought
in
you
our
were
life.
gifting me this
No,
rather than taking it out.
it's all on expenses. So that was really cool. So really chuffed to do that. And so we sort of then thought, what should we do for the show? What should we do for Justin's show?
Yeah.
And you came up
No,
with
we didn't know.
We
so
didn't know
did this
it.
instead.
Yes, exactly. And you came up with an idea of
Yeah.
Seconds Out.
Yeah. So it sounded really good. Any Genesis fans in the audience? Oh, there's
Two
someone
hands
who's
up.
got 2 hands there. Mr. Mannering White, is that?
Sir, that is me.
Fantastic, excellent. So a heavily, highly tubular person he is, sort of a valve amp aficionado. Apologies for going solid state today, but nobody's perfect.
None taken.
Thank you. Yeah, so as I was saying before you rudely interrupted me,
Again.
yeah, we thought it was Seconds Out, right? It's a great pun. It's kind of Genesis album, isn't it? Live album. What year, Mike?
I didn't know it was a live album.
Was it? It was, I think.
I thought Three Sides Live was a live album, wasn't it?
3 songs.
You put 2 hands up for Genesis. You
Early 80s, I suspect, was it Seconds Out?
Oh, I can't remember. Anyway.
1980s, I think. 80s.
At least someone,
Very early 80s.
at least someone who knows what they're on about.
Yeah, that's right. Would you like to come and join us on the
So I feel we are kind of going off topic slightly here.
That's never been done before.
No, it hasn't. So anyway, as I was saying, so it's a great concept, Seconds Out, so we do our second systems. And then we realised that would be incredibly difficult to do because they're sort of very big and you've got quad electrostatics in yours. haven't you?
Yeah, I've got a Hi-Fi Riff top tip as well. If you're thinking about buying a pair of second-hand quad electrostatics, for heaven's sake, don't. It's just, unless you want to sell your house, your car, all that sort of stuff. Anyway, sorry.
Why is that? Because there's no bass. Have you ever heard it? I know you're a huge Rush fan. Do you know there's this guy there called Geddy Lee, and he plays this 4-stringed instrument that makes low tones.
So moving on. Quickly. But lovely when they work.
Yes, which isn't very often.
So we couldn't bring those.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd sort of hash something together. So this isn't really our second system, is it?
It's kind of our third system.
A bit more third system. So do you want to sort of begin by saying what you've bought? This is like
Yeah. So ignore those bobble hats on top of those speakers. Those Wharfdale E30s. A gentleman here is have you still got them?
No, many years ago.
Oh well, no one's perfect.
Only things from 75 I've got to be Phillips emotional feedback tower.
that's-
Four fours.
That's very hardcore.
I know.
Philips emotional feedback speakers from the 70s. That's even more hardcore than E30s. So these, as we did, I think, in our latest RIFF, they're basically super efficient. 94.
Has anyone seen our riff on the E30s?
Yeah.
Because we're basically just going to say that all over again. We want to go to the bar, we'll see you there in about 40 minutes.
As I was saying, dear me, I thought I was going to get heckled from the back, not from next to me. So the joy, so this is my kind of hi-fi world sort of DNA coming out, because hi-fi world was obsessed with valve amps, and obviously if you're into valve amps, you need efficient speakers, as Mark at the back, Mr. Valve over there, will tell you. So basically, we, are kind of, well, certainly your first system, you've got exposures. Tell me how many exposures you've got.
All of them.
Yeah, yeah. So more than actually exposure we've got now.
Yes, we had, we've
One,
had,
you got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
it's,
10.
it is like that, yeah. We had Kevin Edwards come in earlier, who's now Talk Audio, and Kevin used to be, when I was in retail, he was our exposure rep. So he's actually the reason why I've got all these exposure amps. He sort of tuned me into them.
He's a good salesman.
He's the best salesman in the world. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
You're going to buy a valve amp, but he sold you about 10,
Yes, exactly.
10 exposure power amps.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So Mike's system is very old school. He's got loads of exposure, big solid state power amps with the nice barracks.
Mm.
So which
It's an active system as
active,
well.
absolutely, yeah. And ice barracks have got an efficiency of
0.
you have to sort of put nuclear fission power into them in order to get a squeak out of them.
You do. My wife got a smart meter. It's like the worst thing.
When are you moving out?
Well, yeah.
So these are the opposite basically. And so if you remember the 70s, a lot of 70s stuff in terms of speakers was hugely inefficient. It's that kind of LS35A vibe, wasn't it? Where it's sort of 82 dB for 1 watt. And these are 94 or 95, I can't remember which, but basically you can make a very loud noise from them. The problem is the noise is not quite so refined as some speakers, I think. But the transients are so fast, they're kind of like a British JBL sort of thing. So if you've got very efficient speakers, obviously you can take advantage of a low power amp. So hello, Musical Fidelity A1. So it's 25 watts, is it? Can you touch it?
No.
Okay.
I can feel it from here.
Yeah. Sort of nuclear fission going on in the second.
What's your amp in your kitchen which has got your watt meter on it? Tells you how many watts?
That's a Sony TAF60, I think.
You had that with your wallflowers.
Yeah.
And at 1 watt it was bursting our eardrums.
Yeah.
It was just ridiculous.
Yeah. In my kitchen, I've got E70s in my kitchen, which are the bigger versions of these 70 litre cabs. And 1 watt basically is sort of near tinnitus level.
It is.
So,
Yeah.
So these aren't quite as big sounding, but they're still,
And you've got your turntable that's made of solid concrete.
Yes, I think you mean bulk mold compound.
You mean concrete?
Yeah.
Because that's what it is.
So it's my Sony PS8750, and that's one of the very first direct drive port slot turntables ever made. It's a couple of years after Technics, kind of Panasonic Technics got there with the SP10s and that kind of stuff. But it's 1975, and it's a very advanced turntable for its time because of the direct drive port lock. It's also got a carbon fibre tone arm. Basically, the tube is carbon fibre with sapphire bearings, so very nice, nice deck and very heavy.
A Lyra cartridge.
And a Lyra Dorian on that, yeah. So
Cool.
And the Dorian has got a rising frequency response. It goes up a bit right at the top. So it's a little bit zingy, but in a nice way. And obviously when I've done dems for Hi-Fi Choice or whatever, or World in the past, when you've got a big room full of people, then it's like a big acoustic dampener. So it kind of takes down high frequencies a lot. I'm sure Jez will agree. Hello, Jez.
Hello.
Is that true?
I'd say so.
Thank you very much. Genius speaker designer over there. Knows all this stuff. So there you go. Just getting a bit of kudos by saying the right thing.
Trying to get a mic.
Your free pair of K200s is on the way.
Mike, you witnessed that?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So, as I was so rudely interrupted.
Again.
So,
I mean,
so I chose the Dorian because it might work tonally today, but then again it could be horrible. It could sound horrible.
I don't know if you noticed in that, but David's got an encyclopedic knowledge of product numbers and serial numbers and model numbers. And when we do our riff, you must all think he's just reading them from a screen, but no, not at all. It's just mind blowing. I actually think most of the time he makes things up. So, kind of is what it is. So, are we going to? Do you want to give it a blast? Coronation Street's just started, by the way. In case any of you. Do you want to give it a go?
Yeah, we could do. Well, should we twiddle things around a bit and start with your system,
Okay.
which you're going to...
We're going to do a reveal, like
Yeah.
when you buy a car. We're going to do a reveal on my system.
Well, I think you're being modest, Mike, because what you're going to see today has never ever been done. It's a first for a hi-fi show. And we will explain later.
And there's a reason as well why it's the first. Yeah, quite a bit like you playing Rod Stewart. Okay, so I've kind of got this sort of thing, if you like, which is I'd love to get more people into hi-fi. I think that was one of the reasons why we started with RIFF, because there's lovely people here who've probably been into hi-fi for years, a little bit like we have, probably have some fabulous systems kind of built up to it. But when we go to these shows, and certainly I still love coming to these shows, you don't see any people, Jez, apart from you, present company accepted, really young people. It tends to be, very much of a certain age, if you like, and I hope nobody's offended by that at all, but, you don't see lots of teenagers here sort of running around, do you? And there's an irony there, isn't there? Because they've all got a device in their pocket, which is very capable of playing amazing hi-fi, but they just seem to neglect it. And if you think about how, say, for example, Apple and Samsung and all of the major mobile phone manufacturers market their phones these days, it's all on camera quality, isn't it? Assuming we're all of a sudden, we're all David Baileys and we're all into our photography. And actually we're probably more into music than taking pictures, ironically, or certainly, quality pictures and quality music. And we have this medium on our phone. So my thing at the moment is to try and show people you can actually get a half decent sound from your mobile phone. And I think we did a review recently of one of the little hi-fi DACs from Henley Audio, and it's a really lovely little DAC for sort of £100. You plug your phone into it, and all of a sudden, you start to get a hi-fi system. Now we haven't gone, certainly I haven't gone too far off that with my second system, and this is really nice because this is something you can take travelling with you, or all these things. And I've got a little chord mojo here. You see that, which is a really sweet little thing. If you haven't heard the mojo, it's amazing. It's about £400, I suppose.
Has anyone got one here in the audience still?
Are you pleased with yours? You like yours? Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, really, it's good for the kit, isn't it? Yeah. I'm really amazing. How they squeeze in that. So what we've done is we paired that with a chord Annie, which is their 10-watt
amplifier.
Northern Minate. my 7-watt Nate one.
Yeah, so it's my joke. But you
Yes, I stole it definitely before you got it. So we've got this chord Annie plugged in here. We're going to need to swap the speaker cables if we're going to do this.
Yep.
Because I bought some speakers. Should we do a joint reveal? We'll count that. Okay, on 3. Okay, and I bought some very special speakers here. So here we go. Never before seen at a hi-fi show ever. Okay.
And what is bottle hat?
We bought bobble hats as well. 3, 2, 1. Look at those.
Like realistic minimus 7.
They're Amstrads. Amstrad 101. This is the first ever time anyone has ever used
chord electronics hi-fi with Amstrad speakers.
And the last?
So, in fact, I'd go further and say maybe no one has ever used Amstrad speakers at a hi-fi show. So I would be amazed. This could be like, you know, world first. This could be Guinness Book of Records stuff.
This goes to the old sort of Ivor Tiefenbrook principle, doesn't it? Of, you know, source first, and spend as little as you possibly can on the loudspeakers, as long as you've got an LP12 with the latest, you know, lingo and tone alpha and so on. So this is pretty much what we're going to do. We're going to demonstrate Ivor's theory.
So these are £22 on eBay. So I did need an eBay saved search for nearly 5 years to find. So Amstrad had a, I think it's called the laboratory series.
Laboratory.
Yeah, always the joke. It was the laboratory series. So they had this in the late 70s. They had this. So when Alan Sugar, before he kind of started making, you know, PCs and stuff, he was doing hi-fi. And if you talk to Mike Creek was sort of working with him, not exactly, but as a sort of you know, someone who was in the same industry and knew what Alan was up to. And Mike remembers him very well during his hi-fi period. Alan Sugar started with his utter, I don't know if we can swear, so we certainly can't, but rubbish, utter rubbish kind of fake separates, which were absolutely appalling. And then decided to get serious because there was a microsystem craze around about 1978. Does anyone remember the Aurex microsystem?
Yeah.
There you go. So Amstrad tried to do their own Aurex microsystem, which was not as good is the right way of putting it. But these were the matching speakers for the microsystem, but they weren't made by Amstrad. So these are absolutely, they're called LS101s. And if you look in the back it says made in Japan. So it wasn't made in some dingy sort of London, you know, under a tunnel somewhere, in someone's back room.
God, I hope this works.
Yeah, we're in there.
Anybody heard of a guy called Fink?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna give that a blast. I was hoping you will say no.
I haven't.
Thank God for that. You play Roger Zero.